Hey guys, and welcome to the fifth section of our guide on the 6 most important things for show producers and managers to implement. And section number 5 is on conversion tracking. Not so glamorous part of a day-to-day job, but hopefully I can get across to you guys watching how important it is to have this set up correctly. And, to start off with, you can't manage what you don't measure. So it's really important to measure what matters. That kind of saying is key when you're dealing with digital marketing. So like the great benefit of digital marketing is being able to almost track every single thing. You may not be able to track 100%, but it's most of the time you can get 90, 95, 98% there. And that can really help and that can really improve your results. So conversion tracking, it's not as strategic as crafting a persona. It's not as hands-on or creative in that manner. It's not as glamorous as making videos or Facebook ads. It's technical, it's numbers focused. It can be confusing, but without it, you're going to be navigating blind with one hand behind your back. And so conversion tracking is really important for shows, expos, and festivals. So you can understand what your prospects are doing on, these days, one of your most important company assets being your website or your online internet presence. And it's important to implement tracking so that you can decide where your marketing budget, where your company resources can be directed to provide the best results. So for example, if you found that 80% of people visiting your Facebook page also bought a ticket to your next show, you might reconsider where that marketing budget goes next time you're doing your review and your planning, given that Facebook was driving 80% of your results. Similarly, you might be able to see on a few Google Analytics reports, for example, if you're running a radio or TV campaign and your call to action is visit our website or visit www.myshow.com/2019 or spring 2019 or whatever URL you have. And you can see roughly, we ran this ad on this week. We spent $3,000 on a radio spot for this week. And our traffic, our organic traffic or direct traffic to that webpage jumped, and kind of correlate that. So it can work, conversion tracking can work for offline things as well as online to a degree. Now the tracking tools out there like Google Analytics, they can provide an enormous amount of valuable data. You can cut, slice, dice this data so many ways to help you better understand who's visited your website, what they've done, and most importantly, identify the areas of improvement that you need to address to achieve the results that really matter to you. So to sell out your show, you might want to take a look at how your website visitors are viewing your pages. So for example, you might want to look at the device. If the majority of people are using mobile phone, you need to make sure that mobile version of your site, if you have one, is optimized for that. And that you're thinking, over 50% of web traffic now is mobile traffic. So you're most likely going to be seeing the majority of your traffic coming via mobile. And you need to think about that when you're creating content, when you're creating your website pages, when you're uploading videos, when you're uploading photos. People are on their phones. They're scrolling. Like, do you want to write a 2,000 word blog post on your webpage and have people scroll through it, or do you want to give them a 500 word blog post with a ton of tables or graphs or bullet point lists or photos and images that are a lot easier to consume on a smaller device? Taking that understanding that you see from conversion tracking, from analytics tracking, and putting into practice what you find in there is really important on improving your web presence and improving your performance online. Another thing you might find in your analytics is you might see a lot of people visit your homepage or visit your show's main page, and there'll be maybe 2 or 3 specific web pages that the majority of people go from go from Spring Show 2019 to buy ticket page, or vendors page, or discounted tickets page, or there's going to be 2 to 3 pages people generally go to. Knowing where these people, so people are looking for something, right? They're looking to buy, looking for further information, looking to leave, maybe. If you see everyone's going to directions, maybe you take that content on the directions page and bring that onto the main page. So you can say, here's the points, here's the dates, the show times, the vendors, the ticket price. Oh, and also here's the directions to the show. Taking, again, like I just mentioned, seeing what people are doing, understanding what they're doing, and trying to help them do what they want to do, but better. So you might actually start putting out Facebook content or social content that covers where your show is, or the directions to your show from the east side of town. Another post might be the west side of town, the north side, from the downtown area, from the south side. You may start doing that just to let everyone know, here's the best way to get there. Maybe there's a better entrance for the people coming from the west. Then maybe they should take the uptown entrance to the venue, and the people from the south and the east, or south and central, need to come in gate A, that kind of stuff. Now, there's 2 types of tracking tools that we talk about here in the guide, and that is Google Analytics and the Facebook Pixel. So they both do pretty much the same thing. You want to install them on your website, and honestly, they're both an absolute must for businesses. So they both provide you with a wealth of information on what people do on your website. You can dig into the reports, set up specific events and goals you want people to complete, and then be able to work backwards and find what types of people are achieving that goal. So you might say that people on mobile phones who visit on a Friday afternoon, 80% of them buy a ticket, that kind of stuff. And you can start crafting a marketing strategy for that. Now, if you don't have Google Analytics or the Facebook Pixel installed on your show site now, I would highly, highly, highly recommend doing so. Even if you don't plan on doing anything with it now or in the short term, at some point, someone in your organization or someone working with your organization is going to come in and is going to need that information. So Google and Facebook, they both store that data. They both store what people are doing. Now, it's not necessarily, they don't know Jared Laidlaw looked at XYZ page and didn't buy a ticket. They don't know, they won't show you exactly that, but they'll be able to monitor what people are doing and give you overall trends that are really powerful for you. So even though you might not use it for spring 2019, you might get to spring 2020 and you hire an intern to help you, and they say, hey, cool, let me work on your Google Analytics and we can create some Facebook campaigns. Or let me look at the Facebook data and we can start running some Facebook ads. And at that point, you want to be able to give them the keys and say, hey, we've installed it, don't know what we're doing. That's fine. That's a better situation versus allowing all of this data to kind of expire, like come in and expire. So I would highly recommend getting that installed. It's very easy. It only takes a couple minutes. You can find it on tutorials on YouTube to get those installed. If you did want help with that, you can just leave a comment on this video, and then we can sort something out. Like I said, it doesn't take too long. And the other part of conversion tracking is most web advertising platforms, they'll have their own bit of tracking code. So for example, Twitter, LinkedIn, Pinterest, these kind of channels, they all have little snippets of code that you just install onto your website. Again, very easy to do. That allows you to pass data onto them as well. So LinkedIn, you can put a bit of code on your thank you page or on your ticket completion page, and LinkedIn will be able to say to you, cool, here's what you spent on LinkedIn ads, and here's how many people bought a ticket. You can kind of figure out. if LinkedIn's working for you or not. And another type of tracking that I did want to cover with you guys in this video, and obviously in this section, is URL tracking. And what that is just adding a little bit of information to the end of your URLs, so that tracking platforms like Google Analytics and Facebook, you can tell them a little bit more about where these people are coming from. So for example, here we have the Florida Food Festival. That's their homepage, but if they're running a Facebook ad to this homepage, they can actually add a little bit of information here. So you see this question mark UTM_source equals Facebook and UTM_medium equals CPM. So you have these, they're called parameters, and just think about it as you're adding a little bit more information to what you're telling Facebook and Google Analytics in this example. Now, yes, the prospects will see this. So if they look up into their Chrome browser or Safari or Internet Explorer, if they're using that, you can see these parameters, but it doesn't change the web page. It doesn't change the content on the page. All it does is give a little bit more info. Why is this important? Let's go back to the radio or TV example. If you were able to tell people to go, now why is this type of tracking important? Well, let's think about your vendors, for example. Let's say you're a boat show, or let's take Florida Food Festival. So Florida Food Festival, we're going to have different food trucks, maybe different restaurants coming in, different cafes, all types of different people exhibiting at the show or being at the show, right? So if we gave each vendor their own UTM tracking code, so what I mean by that is this little snippet at the end. If this said source Tiffany's Tacos, we'll go with that. We could just leave it at that. UTM source Tiffany's Tacos. And then for, let's say, Frank's Frozen Yogurt. Okay, so we've got Tiffany's. I'm just making this up right now, so that's why they're funny names. Tiffany's Tacos is one vendor, and Frank's Frozen Yogurt. Froyo. We'll call it Frank's Froyo. So we got Tiffany's Tacos, Frank's Froyo. They have their different UTM parameters. They use that when they're posting on Facebook or on their website or wherever they're posting, Pinterest, Instagram. They can use their specific URL link for their marketing. And you can go in the back end of Google Analytics or Facebook and see the types of traffic, the types of volume that they are sending. So for example, Tiffany's Tacos might drive 40 visits on one day versus Frank's Froyo delivers 2,000 visits, right? Well, maybe you want to reward Frank then. Perhaps you give him a bigger booth or more exposure, or, an advanced strategy might be if Frank's Froyo is big enough, spending some money or sponsoring some posts with Frank or sponsoring some ads around Frank's audience and getting more response from there. So with this type of tracking, you're able to kind of dig in and analyze which vendors are doing what to help you sell your tickets. So having vendor-specific URL tracking can help you analyze and find which vendors are actually helping you sell out tickets, and which vendors are, put it plainly, you can find which vendors are more valuable to you. So you might find the top 5 traffic producing vendors. You might want to make sure that they come back to your next show, or whether that's through discounted vendor pricing, or maybe just a little bit more touch points. Maybe you give them a call next time on the phone versus just an email. So that kind of takeaway you can get from having the URL tracking set up. So you say Tiffany's Tacos, hey, notice that you don't really, are you posting about buying tickets, or are you posting saying that you're coming to our show? If not, hey, that's cool. We wish you could do some more, but that's fine. Frank's Froyo, hey Frank, you're doing a great job. Thank you for all the stuff you're doing. Just wanted to send over a bottle of wine or something, depending on what you want to do in your show. But you want to build that relationship with Frank more so than Tiffany's Tacos. So something like that. That's the kind of takeaways. Now, if we look at what the Florida Food Festival is doing, so they understand that the importance of Facebook Analytics, Facebook Pixel and Google Analytics on their website. So they've made sure to install that. And they're also using tracking parameters for their ads, as we've seen up here. So we got Facebook campaign is CPM campaign, cost per impression campaign. Their campaign name is the persona campaign, and their UTM term is ladies wine group, and the content is emojis. So what that it depends on the setup for your internal setup and naming conventions. But essentially what this is saying to the Florida Food Festival team is that they can track the emoji ad for their ladies wine group ad set in their personas campaign. And they're probably using CPM or impression-based targeting, and they're doing this all on Facebook. So it's might be a little bit confusing. It's a different language. If you're following along, that's awesome. Now, 2 tools that you can use to build out these URL parameters, the Facebook URL builder and Google URL builder. You can click on them here, very easy to use. Okay, so if you click on either of the links in the guide, you're going to get pulled up with Facebook URL or Google URL builder. I'm in the Google one right now. Let me enter the details of our shows we got, and that's .com. All right, campaign source. So let's say we're also running Google ads. So what we type in here is just Google. You might also email. I know a lot of show producers and managers are doing email. So let's do email campaign. Medium. So you might want to say, let's say this is your spring show. Now this source medium stuff, it's not, you can use them specifically in terms of, medium as it goes down here, like CPC, banner, email. So you might use this instead of email. You might say newsletter, and you might write email. It kind of doesn't really matter as long as you're looking at it internally and you can understand what you're putting in here. So you might say newsletter, email. This might be spring show. And you might be targeting, like if you've done if you've segmented your email list. So the Florida Food Festival, they've segmented their email list. They know the ladies wine group, and their content might be, let's just stick with what we know. Oh, goodness, where's the I? Emoji. All right, so we've put in our details here, very easy to use. We go down here and it's been built out for us. So all you do here, copy URL, and then you would insert that into your newsletter links or your Facebook links or whatnot for these specific campaigns. So if it was, for this example, this link here would be going into the newsletter, the newsletter email campaign for these details, right? I'm sure you guys can follow. If it was a Facebook ad, would be running, Facebook, let's say we're running a CPM campaign name Spring Show, same thing, same details below. Okay, this might be emoji ad. Then we might also have laughing ad or drinking ad or happy ad, right? And we would take this URL, copy the URL, and put it into the ad that we're using or whatever level of the marketing that you're using. So that's a really great way to track what's working for your show, and then make adjustments from there. So the Florida Food Festival, they see that one of the ads is performing better than the other three, so they pause the poor performing ones and then run with the ad that's working the best, which they're able to track in Google Analytics and also in Facebook with the URL tracking parameters. This resulted in an increased conversion rate for the campaign and a better return on investment for their marketing budget, much to their boss's delight. I'm sure you can understand that. So that kind of wraps up nice and short this section. It wraps up the conversion tracking part. It's only 2 pages, although as you could probably tell, it's a little heavy, quite technical. Hopefully it still provides some value. Any questions, please let me know down the bottom. Now we're going to move on to the last section, retargeting, section 6. We're almost there, guys. Thanks for sticking along.